verses 5784 and 5785. Were they wise? They would think about this, gain insight into their future. How could one have dominated or routed 1,000, or two put 10,000 to flee or to flight, unless their rock, God, had sold them out, or Hashem had given them up? And I'll do a little bit of a focus on a word that kind of jumped out at me or a couple things actually that jumped out about this verse. But first, some sources. If only they'd displayed wisdom, they would have appreciated with their intelligence that God had orchestrated all of these afflictions as retaliation for their iniquities or their wrongdoing. Furthermore, if they had used their intelligence, they would have realized that at the time when one of the enemy could put 1,000 of the Israelites to flight, this too had only been possible through God's doing. Unless their rock had sold them out and had delivered them into the hands of the pagans, this could have never happened. I don't believe it actually says pagans in the Hebrew, and I know what they're getting at, but it's not like the best way to translate it. It just refers to the nations who are assumed to be pagans, though the land that there's a possible reference to used to have idol worship going on in biblical times. If these Gentile nations had possessed any real intelligence, they would have said, how is it ever possible that a single one of us could successfully pursue 1,000 Jews, something they used to be able to do to us? This could only be accounted for by the fact that their God, and here's the word that we're going to be looking into, it's like for God or rock, or roots of like hints of other things as well, had sold them out. This was the result of their offending him by their sins. Okay, so we'll go back to the verse now. And if you look, it can be kind of associated with, or like the root of some other words as well. So you can click on the verse, and then I'll highlight this. So it can be to bind, besiege, confine, or cramp, or show hostility, to be an adversary, or treat as an enemy. But it can also be a rock, or a cliff, or a block of stone, or a rock of like the idol worship. But it can also be the kingdom of Tyre or Tyre, as in like Hiram of Tyre or Tyre. And this is a Phoenician city on the Mediterranean coast. And where is Tyre now? Tyre is essentially modern day Lebanon, which is right on, like, very, very close to Israel. So it's something to consider. I also noticed that the word for like Sinai is spelled backwards here. It's in reverse. And some other things.